we're doing some shoulder bridge. It's the one that I taught last week sometime, the shoulder bridge with the one leg circle. So you want a little bit more on the springs to give us a bit more stability. We want to bring the, the foot bar up to the highest point. And we want to get rid of our straps into one side. We put the shoulder pads, what are they called? Blocks. Yeah. We put them back in. And we're going to come down, lying on, make sure your, I don't know what these things are called, the headrest is flat. So it's not raised at all for shoulder bridge. And then we're going to come down lying with our heads between our shoulder blocks and our feet up onto the foot bar. So we want our feet to be hip distance apart. We're going to start with just a few pelvic tilts to begin with. So we're going to arch the back, pushing the tailbone down into the mat, and then we're going to flatten the back by almost lifting the tailbone, but not quite. So nice big movements. You feel a really nice stretch into the lumbar spine as you arch the back, and you feel a nice constriction into our lower abdominals as we flatten the back. And then just make those movements a little bit smaller. And then smaller again, resting in neutral spine. Engage our core, really flatten out across the lower abdominals, so pushing your hip bones apart, away from each other. Push your pubic bone into the center of the room. So lengthening up through the crown of the head. Shoulders are wide, pushing down in towards the mat. Engaging our core, so lifting our pelvic floors as well. Deep breath in as you exhale, flatten the back into the mat. Start lifting the tailbone, and like the bicycle chain, lift the entire spine up off the mat, really slowly, link by link, coming up into shoulder bridge. Holding our hips nice and high, but make sure our rib cage is staying in contact with the carriage. We don't want to come up too high. We don't want to be on the necks. And then really flatten out across your transversus. Holding it here, a couple of nice deep breaths in. Keep your shoulders as relaxed as possible, head nice and relaxed. On your next exhale, we're going to come all the way back down. So nice slow movement starting at the top of the spine. Again, think bicycle chain, link by link, really slowly. Make sure you come all the way back to neutral. Deep breath in at the bottom. Exhale, peel the spine up again, link by link, come all the way up into shoulder bridge. Holding at the top. Relax the head, neck and shoulders. Keep our hamstrings and our glutes squeezed nice and tight. We're in an isometric position here. We want to squeeze, engage those hamstrings, engage the glutes. The hamstrings we want to be working in our next movement anyway. We want the glutes to do a little bit of help, so knit those sit bones in towards each other. On your next exhale, you're going to slowly push the carriage away, coming out to a straight leg position, and then inhale it back. Keep those hamstrings engaged, keep the glutes engaged. Exhale away, and inhale back. Make sure you're not dropping your hips. Keep the hips up nice and high. We don't want any hyperextension. Slowly out, slowly back. We're going to do 5 fast ones now. Push away for 5 and back. 4 and back. 3 and back. 2 and back. Last one. Come back in. Deep breath in as you exhale, roll down through the spine, starting at the top, all the way back to our neutral spine. As soon as you get back to neutral, keeping our core engaged, deep breath in. As you exhale, roll up through the spine again. When we get to the top, make sure you're on your rib cage, not your neck. Take the right leg up towards the ceiling, so nice vertical leg. Make sure the hips aren't dropping, so just lift your hips a little tiny bit more if you can. Going to keep that nice vertical leg, keep the foot flexed. Inhale for a circle with that right leg, exhale for a circle. Hands onto your hip bones will help with a little bit of pelvic stability. We're adding in some mobility to the hips, but we're also adding in some instability to the hip as well. So trying to keep that left knee as still as you possibly can. This movement is coming only from the hip movement, not the knee or the ankle. Inhale for a circle, exhale for a circle. Now push the carriage away halfway, keep circling. So feeling this a little bit more into our left hamstring, left glute. Relax the head, neck and shoulders. Now draw it to a whole way out. So straight leg if you can, if not stick with halfway. Circling for 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back in. Park the carriage, bring your foot back down. Deep breath in, exhale, roll the spine all the way back down. Do you want to do the other side? Yeah? Even it up? Okay. Okay, engage your core, flatten out across the transversus. Keep your spine in neutral. Deep breath in, shoulders relaxed. Exhale, bring the spine up into shoulder bridge. Starting at the bottom, articulating up, all the way onto the top of the ribs, the bottom of the ribs. And then take your left leg up to the vertical position. Keep your hips up nice and high, just don't drop them down, Shannon. And then circling that left leg. Inhale for a circle, exhale for a circle. Think about that stability. So hands onto both hip bones will really focus on that pelvic stability. Make sure you're not rocking side to side. Keep pushing up with the hips. Now push the carriage away, halfway if you can. Keep circling, relax the head, neck and shoulders. Keep the rib cage drawn in towards each other. Push it out to the whole way. Circling here for 5, 4, 3. Push those hips up. 2, 1. Slowly bring the carriage back in. Bring the foot back down. Deep breath in. Exhale. Bring the spine slowly back down. Rest in our neutral position for a couple of minutes. A couple of seconds rather. And then let the spine readjust before you slowly hug your knees in towards your chest. Rock side to side.
You're on 2. Yeah, you're on 2.5. So you're doing it way too.
That's lots, yeah, that's...
What did you say to do?
She quite likes it. I said 2 or a bit more if you want. So if you want an extra challenge.
Okay.
But
I felt challenged, but I...
Alright, let's
Good.
just clarify though that adding springs is going to make, from here, is not going to increase challenge for your hip extensors, it's only going to increase challenge for your quads and hips, yeah? Because you've got the force pushing out, rather than the force holding or pulling you in. So the lower the springs is going to activate the back body, yeah? The higher the springs from here is going to activate the top body. You're going to work concentric, eccentric on top, and not as hard. Yeah, drop down and do it again. I think 2 should be your maximum.
2 max,
Yeah,
okay.
otherwise you're not going to have the body.
So
support,
1 and
base
3/4
support,
or 2 then.
Yeah, 1.5, 1 3/4 and 2.
Yeah,
Obviously
okay.
2, when you go down, is going to be harder because you're holding your body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, I get it.
Feel what I'm asking? Yes, sir.
Because on
You were doing all
the
here.
I felt
Yes,
more
because I want you
in my
here.
quad.
Yes.
I mean, my glutes were still engaged, but my
Yes,
quads
we're
were
doing
more
most of the work, that's right, because
Yeah.
that will hold in that spring load in the quad. Yeah, whereas I want you to hold the spring load in your butt and hamstring.
Yeah.
Yeah? So no more than 2, go
Mm.
down to make it harder. So
Cool.
start at 2, if you want to make it harder, down to 1 3/4, down to 1.5.
Okay,
If
yep.
that's your intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think it is.
It was,
right?
yeah,
That
yeah, it
your
was.
intention. So if you're going to work quadriceps, why was this not ideal for quadriceps? Why is this not ideal to work your quads here?
Because we haven't got flexion at the hip.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
we're not
so
getting
it's going to
the-
target the knees, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want hip, knee, flexion to work quads. Otherwise here, like you felt, you're just going to load at the knee, right? So it's not ideal for quadriceps. So therefore your intention should be back body, glutes and hamstrings. There's a couple of things we want to talk about too is in hip rolls is the length. The length of the knees, the length of the spine.
I forgot to say that.
Yeah, it's only because, especially when you start going to single leg, any
Yeah.
unilateral challenge, if the rest of the body is sagging, then you're going to have problems. So there's the sense of lengthening from crown to knee makes a massive difference. Jump down, guys. You feel this as well, Jay?
Here, do you want this?
Yeah. Jump onto your back. There's a couple of things I'm going to just demonstrate in hip rolls. Firstly, roll up to your hip roll into your bridge. Great. And in your bridge, I want you to just sink a little bit and then push the carriage out and in. And now I want you to lengthen. I want you to shoot your knees over your toes and lengthen your head out behind you. So really find your length. You've got to tuck these hips in, tuck them 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 in. That's it. Inner thighs. Good. Press the carriage out with length. Lengthen on the way in. On the way in, I want you to shoot the knees over the toes. As you come in, shoot the knees over the toes. Right? Can you feel the difference? Lengthen the knees over the toes. So you've got to come even longer. As you come over the toes, lift, 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 lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Yeah, I want that length, yeah? Close the ribs though. Rissimi, close the ribs, Joe. I want you to find length. Good. And now sink and do it without the length. Yeah? What's the difference? Okay, you get more glutes, that's fine. But essentially the glutes are only engaging because you're being pulled to a straight line. So what you're actually what's actually happening is that you're recruiting all of your trunk muscles around the waist. When you're sinking, you're sagging. When you lengthen, the butt's only engaging because you're stretching, engaging all of these muscles. It becomes all of these core muscles, multifidus, around the trunk, into your core muscles, into obliques, all fire because you're lengthening. So it's a whole body exercise. If you're not lengthening, you're just sagging and you're just moving the legs in and out. Okay, so it's really important length. Whenever we do body weight exercises, length. That includes plank. That includes side plank. That includes something else with body weight. Anything with body weight is length. You have to have length. It's really important. Okay, you've got to distribute the load through the length of the body. So don't forget your length. The other thing I want to demonstrate is this. When we do our hip rolls, jump onto your back. I need some water. Let me bring it in. One sec. Hey team. Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, and then do so. Yeah, do it. Yeah. You do it, I'll boost it. Right. Another thing I want to demonstrate is your hip rolls. Roll down. So we all teach, even me, we all teach press the back into the floor, right? Because to create a downward force helps you to create an upward force, right? So you press the scoop, we press the back into the floor to roll the tailbone up because we're trying to articulate the spine, aren't we, right? But actually, the ultimate goal is to not press the back into the floor, but to create your own stability that you can articulate by pulling pubic bone to sternum without. So what I want you to do is I want you to just hover your tailbone off the floor, keep it neutral, but hover it. Now, without collapsing the back into the floor, I want you to pull the pubic bone to the sternum and tuck and curl without pushing your back into the floor. Curl and lift, curl and lift, curl and lift, curl and lift, curl and lift. And on the way down, I want you to lengthen, down and lengthen, down and lengthen without actually pushing into the floor. All of a sudden, we've reduced a point of contact, yeah? So you're now creating your own internal support to lift and curl against that resistance. You're making your own resistance to curl and lift, right? I'm not saying we should teach like this, but I want you to be aware of what the ultimate goal is, right? The ultimate goal here is to not use external forces, okay? Just like when we're on the back and we used to say press the back into the floor, and now we have an arch in the back. We have that arch in the back because we're creating our own force, yeah, our own stability, our own strength. The same thing when you do your hip rolls. The ultimate goal is to not push the back into the floor to lift the pubic bone. Because when you do that, feel what happens. Push the back, yeah? Do you really recruit your abs 100%? You don't, because you're pushing to lift. You're actually pushing down to lift the pubic bone. So now don't push, lift and hover. Now recruit your abs 100% to pull and lift. You see how one is a cheat and one is the goal. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Now at a
Sorry, when you're killing bridge, do you talk about sternum?
pull the pubic bone to sternum, yeah.
Rather than flatten the back?
No. Sometimes I say flatten the back. Again, it's what I'm saying is I'm asking a level 1 understanding of the body.
Yeah.
Push down to lift up to create more flexion. At a harder level, what we're actually trying to do is avoiding anywhere where we're pushing to pull. You know what I mean? What we're trying to do is, it'd be like saying, in order to lift this up, I want you to push into the foot bar to lift this, or now I want you to stabilize your posture and lift this. Do you know what I mean? It's two different understandings of mechanics of the body. One, let's do one action to cause a reaction, or let's create so much stability that you can do it yourself. You can leverage off your own core stability, okay, off your own core strength. Does that make sense? So at a level 1, push the back into the floor is fine. But what I just wanted to reiterate was that's not the ultimate goal of achieving perfect lumbar flexion. It should be actually with no pressure into the floor. We should be pulling the pubic bone to sternum and articulating without any pressure into the floor. Does that make sense? Yeah? But that doesn't mean one's right or wrong. It's just awareness of, if you were teaching level 1s, they're not going to be able to do that. They have to push their back down. But when you're getting to level 3s, you're not going to cue push your back into the floor. You're now going to cue, hey, why don't you try not pushing your back into the floor? Why don't you try, do you know what I mean? There's always somewhere to build on this. The same way that when we do an ab crunch, not an ab crunch, when we do the hip roll, when we do hip rolls at level 1, scoop the belly, roll the tailbone, peel it up, most people, their ribs are flaring, right? So then what we say is we say bra line pressed into the floor, or rib cage pressed into the floor. But actually, after a while, once they've learned, oh, my ribs aren't supposed to flare, we're not actually wanting to push anything down. You're actually wanting to lengthen on that same line. You're lengthening the rib cage. You're not sinking the rib cage. You want a perfectly straight torso. So all of these things depend on what you're teaching, who you're teaching. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Simi, question?
I'm just like thinking that because I, in my mat Pilates,
Mm-hmm.
I teach it from a neutral spine.
From where?
Bridge.
Yep.
So I cue and like tell me the function or the
Mhm.
mechanic behind
Yep.
it, not necessarily if it's wrong or right.
Mm.
I think, I don't know, like people I think got to it.
Mhm.
So when your feet are on the ground, I really cue push your heels really strongly into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your awareness to your glutes, really squeeze the sit bones together.
Mm.
And by doing that, especially pressing your heels into the ground, your tailbone lightens, so you really, you're coming to neutral spine almost. You can keep your, and I will just highlight it from here. Like if you really press down into the heels, imagine you're trying to push the rib bar away from you. And you just squeeze the heels, like you lighten the load for that imprint, so your spine naturally comes into a neutral.
Mm.
And from there you lift. Or you do not want to do the engagement of the glutes because we're concentrating on the lower core.
Again, there's no right or wrong, but at a level 1, that's a great way for them to get them to do the right thing. But once they have achieved that, once they've built the strength to use their abdominals to pull the pubic bone to the sternum, there's no need for that. We want to take their abs further. So the initiation of all pelvic curls should come from the abdominals to move the pelvis, and then comes from the glutes, because this little lift here, abs into glutes, ab glute sling, abs into glutes, right? But again, that's not wrong, because if you're teaching level 1, which is what you're teaching probably mostly, absolutely work on that heel press, get them to really fire up. I teach the heel thing a lot, but once they're up there, to fire up the glutes. Of course, you know, pressing through the heel activates posterior chain. So for sure, lots of heels. If you're doing it initially, I'm not saying it's wrong. There isn't right or wrong, but that's your intention. Your intention is to get them to really tuck and scoop, right? By pressing the heels to come up.
Not really.
Tell me again, what's the intention?
Not to talk, but to find that neutral spine that we're talking about to come up to the bridge.
But how do you teach neutral spine when you teach an ab crunch? Is it the same way?
When your feet are on the ground, yes.
You teach the same way. So it's the same way. So it's the same way that I just described. Yeah, show me how you do it. That's okay.
Yes, so when you start in level 1, you press down into your feet and into your heels. Ignite the glutes a bit, find that neutral spine, and then lift one foot, then the other. Stay in that neutral spine.
Right. So this is exactly what I was talking about. That's like saying, if I'm going to lift this, I need to push down here to lift this. you're relying on an external source of stability. Whereas the goal is stabilize the body and lift this without external stability, right? So it's the same thing. So in other words, lie on your back. Everyone can do this. Put your foot bar down, put your feet on the foot bar. It's not wrong. It's a clever way to get them to do it at a very basic level. But your problem is that the inward compression of the transversus multifidus, the drawing in to sandwich the linea alba and the spine together, those two lines, is not going to happen if you're pushing the feet into the floor. It's impossible. It has a bracing effect, okay? So in other words, I'll teach you the two ways. The way that you're talking about now, right? If you press your feet down, you encourage glute activation, yes. All right, so pushing your feet into the floor, you encourage glute activation. But then when you want to lift one leg to tabletop, are your abs actually on?
No.
Right, so now put your feet down. Good. Now, I want you to make your feet lighter on the floor, completely the opposite. Make the feet feel lighter on the floor. Now the weight of the leg, if you chopped off your legs and weighed them, they're super heavy. Where does that weight go? Take that weight of the leg, make the legs feel lighter. Take the weight in an inward tension around your trunk. Take the weight of the legs and then lift one leg up. Are your abs on? So one way you've pushed, on the other way, I'm not saying that's how I teach it, but the other way I've created, so the other way, it's exactly what I just described. One way was push down to brace yourself to lift, or my way was, okay, create the weight by finding stability first, and then we're gonna lift this weight, right? So a weightlifter puts a weight belt on and braces outwards to lift the weight, okay? A ballerina braces inwards. It's the two different ways of bracing. You're bracing outwards into an external source. We want to brace inwards. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes like using like almost like having Velcro underneath the feet, so just making it not pushing necessarily through the heels, but like the whole foot and just making it like
Making it harder to lift. So yeah. So I love it. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
Like getting like just make instead of like just lifting the leg out, just feel like then you actually engage.
I love it, yeah, because the slow twitch activation of the muscles, by having Velcro, it slows the lift, which makes the slow twitch fibers engage. Whereas if you lift quickly, you lift straight into your global muscles, which go straight into the hip. I love it, I've never heard that before, well done. Really good. I would work on, if you are cueing the heels and therefore cueing the glutes, the final response of what you want is the abs, but you haven't cued it. You've cued the heel and you've cued the glutes. So I would work on things where you're actually cueing here to activate, you know what I mean? And play around and see what works for you, yeah? And do it yourself and just see what works for you. Remember that the key to stability here is length and width. Yeah, the longer the crown and pubic bone, the multifidus and therefore all of your core muscles engage. So that's why you don't want a sinky spine. That's why you need a neutral spine. Neutral spine is actually the longer shape of the spine. When you flatten, it's actually shortening the shape of the spine. So finding neutral is the longest shape of the spine. And then the widening and tightening of transversus is the compression around that neutral. Linea alba, spine, squeeze together. It's a sandwich effect. So if you can find ways to make that happen, obviously all of my words aren't exactly what you're going to say to a level 1 person. I'm trying to think what I would say to a level 1 person.
What for a bridge?
No, just for this